in control, hold on. Anytime you down, baby, play this song. Lost time is the best, hold on. Oh, baby, don't cry, now you gotta stay strong. God is in control, hold on. Lost time is the best, hold on. Baby, don't cry, stay strong. And baby, don't cry, God has got you. And that's no matter what you go through. Remember, God just...
Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So as you guys know, I've taken such a long break off YouTube, and today I'm back. I don't know if I'm back to stay. I'm joking. I don't know if I'm back to stay, but I'm back. I decided to take a long break off Instagram. Off YouTube, not because I needed a break or I burnt out, but because I actually felt like I didn't know what my purpose was. After a year of kind of actively doing this, I felt like, okay, I don't actually know what I'm doing. I don't actually know where God is taking me. And it felt like I was kind of walking in a season of wilderness. Like I was just walking, just carrying baggage and just walking without necessarily knowing my destination. And so I kind of took a step back to question, what is my purpose and what is my assignment? I felt like I was so consumed by what I see around me that I was now thinking, okay, why am I not moving like this? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing that? Without actually understanding that God has called me for a particular assignment. God has called me for a particular assignment. He's called me to do a specific thing, but because I allowed the very things that are around me to consume me, I was now thinking, gosh, what is my purpose? After a whole year of running YouTube, I was now thinking, gosh, like what is this really what God has called me to? Like, is this what I want to do? But one thing that God did was to teach me that YouTube is something that he has called me to. YouTube, as much as like I'm inconsistent, it's like YouTube is something that God has called me to. And you know, just because, you know, I'm not out there prophesying and doing that, I feel like, okay, well, like, what is happening? Like, my age mates are doing the most and I'm just sitting here on YouTube. But then God really began to remind me that he has placed something on the inside of me, because he understands that what he has placed in the inside of me for YouTube is to impact and influence generations. But is understanding that what your assignment is different from everyone else's. You're going to get to a place where you're going to begin to compare yourselves, and you're going to begin to kind of look at what others are doing and think, gosh, like, why are you not doing this with me? But you always have to remember that each and everyone's assignment is different, and comparison is a very killer. Like, even walking in the season of wilderness, I learned a lot about myself. Like, one thing that I really struggle with is being myself when I'm around like Christians, because I felt like, okay, I would get judged for being I would get judged for being me. But even walking in this season of wilderness, I'm coming to the realization that, okay, yes, God has called me to this, yes, God has called me to leadership, God has called me to YouTube and all of that stuff, but I need to be able to kind of confidently express myself on this platform. And when people also see me outside, I need to be able to express that confidence the same way that I express it here on YouTube. So I think through that season, I learned to be myself and be who God has called me to be. And I also learned to realign the vision. I think Habakkuk says, write the vision and make it clear. I feel like that's one of the things that I didn't do. That God gave me a vision to start a YouTube, and I just went in and I started it. I didn't actually have the vision like kind of written out. And so this season allowed me to go back and almost kind of re-examine myself and like check with myself, okay, this is the vision that God has placed on the inside of me. This is what God has called me to do. So what are the steps I'm going to take to ensure that this grows? Obviously not relying on my own strength, but relying on the strength of God, but actively taking steps to ensure that I actually walk in and kind of what's that word? nurture the vision that God has placed on the inside of me well. So I think that's one of the things that I learned, to actually go back to the vision and ask God, okay, you've called me to this and I'm doing it, but I feel like it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Do you get me? Like, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. So God, okay, this is the vision that you gave me. How do I then move forward with the vision? What are the steps that you're calling me? What are the steps you're calling me to take? Who's gonna help me do this? What is gonna happen? And that's one of the things that I learned. The second thing that I learned, like I mentioned, is being confident with myself here on YouTube, but also off YouTube, because like I said, I just felt like when I'm around Christians, they're like, you have to be holy, bro. Like, if you're not holy, get out. And I'm not saying that I'm not holy, but what I'm saying is, like, there's this kind of culture where, like, it's like, okay, you're not in the spotlight, so get it with that. But yeah, that's how I feel anyway. Like, you can agree to disagree. And that's the second thing that I learned. The third thing that I learned, which my mentor taught me, is that even in the season of wilderness, even in the season of wilderness, there is something that there is one thing that you will constantly do. There is one thing that you must constantly do, and it's to fellowship with the Father. There's one thing that he taught me, and he said that, Belinda, we are a generation that desires power, but we don't desire presence. And so even as I walked into the season, as I was walking in the season of wilderness, not knowing what I was doing, I just felt like I had to, it was a time for me to realign myself and go back to my knees and allow God to really just teach me what it means to be in the presence, teach me what it means to live a lifestyle full of the presence, to just be in that place of just fellowshipping with God constantly, without allowing the very things or the assignments of God and the responsibilities of God to kind of consume me. So I was walking, but I had the opportunity to truly fellowship with God, to truly go back on my knees and say, okay, God, forget the assignment, forget the walking and purpose, forget all of that. I want you and you alone, because it's so easy to be consumed by the very things that you're called to, that you forget to fellowship with God. And that's why we in some cases we experience burning out, because we're just so consumed by assignments and stuff that we neglect the presence of God, we neglect our fellowship with God. And so that's one of the things that I learned, is that fellowship with God is the most important thing. And in the season of wilderness, that is the time where even in that season of wilderness, that's where I learned to go back on my knees. And I felt like even as I went back to my knees, there was a level of sensitivity that God even began to teach me, or began to cause me to walk in. Like I felt like I was more, I don't want to say emotionally attached, but I was like much sensitive. Like I could enter a building and God would just begin to like kind of begin to burden me with like how he feels in that room and stuff like that. But that came from a place of fellowship, because before that, I could not lie, I wasn't as sensitive as I am now. So I'm even grateful that I went through like such a season of wilderness and kind of questioning my purpose and my assignment, so that God could actually teach me that it's not necessarily just about the assignment, but it's also about fellowshipping with the Holy Spirit, fellowship with God. The other thing that I learned is discipline. If some of you may know, I'm an intercessor, and like before kind of going through this whole season of wilderness, questioning my assignment, I was kind of just like praying for myself. And like if I'm praying and God lays you on my heart, I'll just begin to pray for you, and God would just begin to give me word explanations and stuff. But then I felt like I got to a point where I was just so driven by my assignment, and that's not bad. Like I was just kind of going forth, like I was just like interceding. And then one thing that was said to me is, before you begin to intercede for people, you must understand that you must first love yourself. You must love yourself enough to now stand in a place of intercession, because I understand that love is a prayer language. And so in order for me to kind of actively intercede for people, I must first understand what it means to love myself. And so through that season of wilderness, I think I just began to kind of love on myself and just love me, and I just began to exercise discipline in the place of intercession. So I kind of scheduled, like, okay, this is a time where I pray for myself, and this is a time where I intercede for the people, and that's one of the ways that kind of God has been kind of realigning me and bringing me back into, like, okay, what he's called me to. And through that week is where God literally began to speak to me about coming back on YouTube and just flowing with God. But this is just to kind of give you an update of where I've been, and kind of the very things that I've learned. Some of the very things that I've learned. But I think one of the very things that I will say before I end this video is that whenever you feel dry, just run back to the feet of Jesus. Just drink from the well. Just drink from the well. And I felt like that season where I was questioning my assignment and purpose is where I understood properly the essence of drinking from the well of the Father, drinking from the Father. So I hope this blesses you. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. See you on my next video. God bless you.